it show you when I'm in there?
If you haven't started it yet, it'll just say that it hasn't started yet, and then it'll ask me to exit.
Gotcha. Yeah,
But
I
as
never
soon-
see what you guys see.
as soon as you get in, it'll let me join.
Okay. Yeah, I knew that part, but okay, cool. Very good. So what's new?
Nothing much.
Nothing much. What's one thing you like to do on your free time?
I like to play video games.
What's like your favorite?
So, I have a question.
Nope, no questions this early. Sorry, Vern.
It's a small question. It's one sentence long.
I'm just kidding. What?
Is the demo homework?
I'm gonna give you class time.
At the end of the class or early class?
I'm gonna do half the hour notes, half the hour demo.
Like the beginning of the hour notes and half of the end demo?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
That means I can leave early.
Oh, no, it does not.
Why?
Because this is an assignment I'm giving you in class, so you stay until the time is up. Don't give me your little breaths of irritation. It is what it is.
Done.
When you finish your demo page, then you can go, and not until.
It's already done.
It is not.
It was done before second hour.
Oh, I'm gonna look right now.
You want to bet? Bet me a solid A.
I'm going to go see it right this minute.
Bet me a solid A. I could have a good grade the rest of the semester.
Well, you can control that. You're a good student. All you have to do is do your work. There's a start.
I was asleep all first hour.
What? Are you serious?
Well,
Okay.
not all asleep. It was like 50-50.
Okay. Well, I got something I want you to change on this. I screwed up and I said 3/4 sugar. It should be 3/4 salt, and then a half teaspoon of sugar. So I was gonna talk about that correction. But
okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I thought
it.
you said like, I thought you said like something sugar, but I did not sugar,
Yeah.
salt, but I wasn't sure.
Okay, and then in your questions, will you make sure that capital I is switched because it's a lowercase? And then if you could just highlight your answers would be great. And put a period on one of them because one's missing a period.
You're right about that one.
And don't I have
I don't see the I. I don't see which one I don't need to capitalize.
It's underlined, nut.
Where?
Right under where it says, what would you change in the recipe of nothing Y? And it's a lowercase I've. Do you see it?
Yeah, I didn't know you
needed. Okay, there you are. I see you.
I didn't know I needed to capitalize that one.
And then if they underline them in blue, all you have to do is click on them to make the correction. What's so hard about that?
It doesn't. Some of them don't do it for me.
Right here
it just does not at all.
What about at the very start? It says I am not, and there's a blue line under it.
I don't see any. I don't have any blue lines.
Really?
Or anything? Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Wait, let me check my tools real quick.
Okay. And then switch out in your ingredients and in the directions that little bit about the sugar and the salt.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll just make sure that I don't put this on early. Ha ha ha! For next time.
Wait, I have a question.
What?
Was it a half a sugar or half salt?
Hold on. Hi, Bryce. Good to see you. I'm going to put it in the chat, okay?
Okay.
Sorry, Bernie asked me a question, and now we're on this little tangent that we're on, so just hang tight, everybody. He's an overachiever today.
No, I got bored.
Oh, whatever.
I've been on TikTok for like the last
hour. My Lord. Well, then there sums it up right there.
I skip. Well, I don't skip. Okay, so I stay in the class, but I basically skip second hour.
I don't want to hear that.
I don't.
All
Okay.
right, so Kaylee, yeah, I'll have office hours today from 11 to noon right after class, so just come then. How about that? Or if that doesn't work out for you, Friday, same time. And I can send you a link if you need one. They are in my whip if you go there. But yeah, any time if you missed the pretest or I kicked you out because your camera wasn't on according to what I'm seeing, yeah, you can come and do the either the pretest Thursday or Friday. I have to open it though; it's always going to be closed. Nope, that's fine. Yep. Okay, well, Chase, welcome. Um, I'm going to quickly do a rendition of what's going on and hopefully that will help. But if not, just stay after class for like maybe 5 minutes and we can just hash out, get you caught up and get you comfortable with where we are. Okay. All right. So we're going to get started today. We're going to start on that warm up. So Chase, what you want to do is go and get a Google Doc open. And what you want to do is answer the question that I'm going to ask you. Okay. And we do this every time we meet. So just maybe eventually make a folder for it. So then you always know where to find the warm up and you're good to go. Okay. And if all this sounds like a second language, like I said, 5 minutes at the end of the block or, at the end of the class, just stick around and I'll try to help you out. All right. So good morning, everybody. Good to see you guys again. I'm going to go ahead and present my screen so you can see the warm-up. I give you 2 minutes, remember, each and every day that we meet. And I'm just going to quickly run through the expectation because we got somebody that came in for the first time today and I don't want them to be lost. Okay, so just really quick, 0 points for missing steps. So complete sentences always with caps and ends. Make sure the question is part of your answer. So if you miss any of that, you get 0 for the day. Only do your class warm-ups. So if you are in nutrition, which you are only to answer the N question, not the C, not the P. You are still required if you miss class to make up the warm-ups. You will find them always here in Google Classroom. Good educational guesses are all that's needed. Please do not Google. It doesn't have to be right. IDK is not accepted. Okay, so if you don't know, just give me your best guess. I don't collect any late points on these. They're always going to be turned in for full credit anytime you turn them in, preferably not before the 9 weeks. I don't want a stack of them, in our last week together. Okay, so just try to get them in each and every time. So here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and open the warm up. So Chase, you missed Mondays, so you'll have to go back at some point in time and do that. Remember, it doesn't have to be a correct answer, just as long as you give me your best guess. Some questions are pretty easy. Sometimes I'm asking something specific, but again, you don't have to be right. All right, I just had to shut my camera off so I could actually project this because for some reason the camera doesn't like me and I have to turn it off. So, all right, so you have 2 minutes to answer this question. What do you call the beliefs and social customs of a group of people? Time starts now, 2 minutes. When you get done with your warm-up, please go into Google Classroom and open up your notes on factors that affect food choices, guided notes. That's where you would need to be. "57 seconds. Okay, time is up. All right. So what was the answer to the warm-up question? Any takers on what is the answer to the warm-up? We covered it the last time we were together. Culture. Thank you, Mackenzie. That's great. Yep. Thank you, Zach. Culture is correct. Good job. Okay, so I'm going to go over just some terms that we've gone over a few times, and let's see if you can recap them for me. You can use the chat if you're comfortable with that, or you can just unmic if that is comfortable as well. So, what do you call the study of nutrients and how the body uses them? What is that called? Study. Thank you, Zach. Nutrition. Good job. What do you call a chemical substance such as protein, carbs, vitamins, minerals? They help with function, growth, repairing cells. I think that's supposed to say nutrients. Okay, and then what about, it goes along with good health, positive well-being, the different aspects of health, physical, emotional, social. Thank you, Zach. Wellness. Very good. Yep, Vern, wellness. Good job, guys. Okay, so if you could go into Google Classroom, I'm going to show it and project it on my screen just for those of you that are just coming in with us. Everything we do during the week is just going to be here under week 1. And then next week we'll have a week 2. If for whatever reason, like the warm-ups, I'm going to push into week 2 so that they're always right where we need them when we are looking for the work of the week. So you need this section right here where it says factors affecting food choices, guided notes. So I need you to go there now. And we're going to go ahead and fill those out. If you were not here the last time, remember every day that we are together, I record our meets. And you basically go to Google Classroom Stream, and that is where you're going to find the recordings that I have set up for you, and you watch them. So if you're not in class on a given day, or you have to leave early, or for whatever reason, you should always be watching those recordings because your class went on without you, but you need to be a part of it. Also, just a couple reminders is that 80% is still virtual for late work, and that's the work that you've completed. That's what you're going to get scored on. At the end of the unit, I will not accept any work. So when we sit down and we're taking the test, no more work will be accepted after that time. Most of our work is done in class unless some people get bored and do it on their own time. Which is usually why I don't put stuff in Google Classroom until we meet as a class, just so that you do things while I'm right here, and if there's questions or concerns or things like that. So those are just some healthy reminders that I just want to touch base on with you this morning. All right, so let's get with the notes here. All right, so hopefully you found them. If not, if you could put in the chat that you're having difficulty, or where are the notes, or just some form of a question so that I know that you are having difficulty. But again, they're in Google Classroom. They say guided notes, and we're talking about how food affects us. Okay, looks like everybody's good to go. I need somebody to be my temperature gauge as far as like when you're done with notes, if you could just tell me. And then I'll know that I can move on to the next slide. That's always helpful. So just let me know maybe if you get done with that and I can move on. But I believe that, and then I need you guys to let me know, didn't we get through ethnic foods? Did I give you what goes with ethnic foods or not?
Yes, you did. Okay,
thank you. All right. So again, if you, whoopsie, what the heck did I just do? So if you are, this looks new to you, then you need to look at the recording for Monday. Or no, Tuesday. Okay, so we were talking about ethnic influences. That definition was on your paper. Ethnic refers to groups of people who share common blood ties, land ties, racial ties, or religious similarities, okay? And then this is what goes under ethnic foods enjoyed by ethnic people, or a group of people. So you can recognize ethnic foods by their ingredients sometimes, seasonings that they use, how they prepare the food. So like, for example, corn and beans grow very well in Mexico. So a lot of their dishes are based with corn and beans. Spanish dishes are often flavored with onions, garlic, olive oil. Middle Eastern foods are often seasoned with saffron, cumin, ginger. And then Chinese dishes are often stir-fried or steamed. Back a long time ago, they had to pay for the fuel to cook their food, and they didn't have a lot of money to do that, and so they would cut up their food really, really small so that when they did heat it, it would cook really fast and they wouldn't have to use as much fuel, and that would save them money in the long run. So that's kind of why when you ever go to a Chinese restaurant or something, why the food is always cut up really small, is just because it's fast that way, and usually it comes out pretty quick. Also remember, in most ethnic groups, social customs prohibit the use of certain edible resources as foods, and we're going to call those food taboos. Okay, so again, there are certain foods or drink items which people abstain from consuming. Many food taboos seem to make no sense at all as to what may be declared unfit by one group may be perfectly acceptable to another group. So they utilize resources more efficiently, and they protect the resources. So one example of this would be like the Hindu religion, they do not consume cows, okay, because cows are considered sacred. In Asian countries, dog is a common food, which in the United States, a lot of us would be upset by that. Another taboo, like in the United States, might be eating bugs and things like that. I mean, we don't typically go to Horrocks and see like, a row of crickets and different types of bugs that are there and people just pick them up readily. You don't really see that unless you go to some kind of a eccentric type of grocery or something like that, or to a market that might be specific to that culture that they might sell something like that. I mean, I've gone to Horrocks and I've seen suckers with like earthworms or stuff like that, but usually it's more for like a funny or a hoax or something like that. But you wouldn't typically see Americans eating earthworms and things like that. So those are considered for some food taboos. Okay, then you have regional foods, and those are where people choose to eat what is geographically in their area. So if we're talking about Southeast Asia, they have a really hot and humid climate, so rice is readily available. So in most of their dishes, you're going to see that they have rice. Then you have Africa, Indochina. They kind of have a hot, dry climate. Europe, Asia, Africa, wheat, rye, barley, oats, because they're a little bit cooler. Americans, we do a lot with corn because that's readily available here. We are going to do a spin-off of this slide and do like a little project where each of you gets a region of the United States, and you will have to research that a little bit and then look up 5 recipes that are part of that region of the United States. And so that's going to be one of our little side projects that we're going to do here in the next couple weeks. So just kind of be looking for that. Also be thinking about a person that you might want to work on the project with, because, when we have that will be an option for you to kind of share the tasks, and it will be something you'll present on screen just like we've done before. But sometimes it's better to have 2 heads than one and have a support system when you present and put the Google Slides together. So up and coming, but just not right now.
Could you go back to the last slide real quick? I didn't get the last part. Thank you.
Yep, just let me know when you're done, please.
Oh, you can go to the next one now. I just needed to see what word it was.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're going to move on to religious influences. Okay, so many religions teach about the use of food and the teaching effects of cultural food practices. So like we talked about just a minute ago, where the Hindu religion does not believe in using cattle or cows for beef or food. So you would not see that happening. In the Jewish and Muslim religion, they don't eat pork. And Buddhism urges mindfulness of diet, leads some to be vegetarians. Certain religion groups, they have rules of what their members may or may not eat. In the next slide, we're going to talk about kosher, but just to kind of give you a heads up of what it is right at the moment is that they are foods prepared according to Jewish law. So you would have, that they don't eat eat pork, shellfish, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The Muslims fast during the day of the 9th month of the calendar year. Some religions are Seventh-day Adventists, and they eat a vegetarian diet. If you're Catholic, you abstain from eating something during Lent, so you're giving something up. Whether most Catholics will give up meat, and so they don't eat meat on Fridays. Usually they'll have to have something vegetarian or go with fish. But that's something, sometimes your religion dictates what you can and can't eat on certain times of the year or in general. So it puts a limitation on certain things. Not all religions are like that, but some are. And then whoever needed to see, I'm not sure who that was. I don't want to guess, but if you ask me to go back to the last slide, maybe you could tell me when you're done with this one so I know and I can move forward.
I am ready.
Was that Zach?
Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else? If you want me to stay put, you better tell me. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. Okay. That sounds unanimous to me. Okay. So this is what I was talking about with kosher. So flipping through my notes here. So kosher, those that conform to the regulation of Jewish dietary law. So pork is the big one, but they typically don't eat rabbit, eagle, owl, catfish, sturgeon, any type of shellfish, reptiles. Specifically shellfish, they kind of look at that as they're ground feeders on the bottom of the ocean, and they are considered dirty or unsanitary. So that's one of the reasons why they don't eat those types of foods. Meat, fowl, they have to be slaughtered in a certain way for them to be eaten. So I don't know if you've ever been to the store. I'm sure you all have. They have kosher hot dogs. So I believe that means that the meat was blessed, or the animal was blessed before it was slaughtered, and then they can eat that because it's now non-kosher. So, it's kosher. So, FYI, and then meat and dairy products may not be made or consumed together. So how things are prepared sometimes will dictate whether or not a person could eat them versus, more of a religious practice type of thing. So it's kind of an interesting thing to research. And that one was kind of a short one, so I'm hoping that it was pretty easy.
I'm good.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured. Okay, and then we're going to move on to social influences. So like your peers, your family, they do play a big part in what you guys eat, even though I know you're getting older and you are able to speak your mind and tell the people that you live with, I don't like that, or I like this, buy that, that kind of thing. I get that all the time here. So we're going to talk about social influences and how that's going to affect your food choices. So the first one is your family. So for many, family is the most powerful influence on your food choices, just because they're the ones that go to the store, they're the ones that buy the food, bring it home, prepare the food. So you may have a say, you may not. Typically, like my kids don't really have a say unless they want something real specific, like I like Cheerios. Can you get Cheerios? Or I love avocados. Will you make sure you pick some up so that I can have avocado toast in the morning or something like that? It's not where, you know, they're dictating exactly what I'm cooking and how I'm preparing it and all that. But, you know, we all have our preferences and things that we enjoy having to eat at home, you know. And if I asked all you know, what would be one thing that you'd want your parents to pick up at the store? Why don't you put that in the chat? What's one thing that you want your parents to pick up at the store for you? That's in a chat, so put something in there. What is the one thing that you would that would have to be on the grocery list? What is it? For me, it's coffee, because I need my coffee each and every day, and so I would definitely have to have that. Milk? Here, I thought you guys were going to say like gummy bears.
We go through like 5 gallons a week.
Oh my God, no wonder you're such a big guy.
Yeah.
You got all that milk going on in those bones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, good for you.
Thanks.
What percent do you buy, Carson?
We usually just get 2%.
Oh, okay, good enough. Nice job. Okay, so milk and fruit. See, and I'm thinking you guys are going to tell me your favorite cereal or some kind of junk food that you want. Just because I'm a nutrition teacher doesn't mean you can't tell me honestly what you want. Oh, that's funny. I'm cracking myself up. Thank you. All right. So good enough. So I'm going to continue on. Here we go. All right. So just to add a little bit to that about family, you know, food often plays a role in our relationships with our friends and families. Many people influence the foods that you choose to eat. For example, like we said, younger eaters. Like if you, obviously Carson is drinking his 4 gallons of milk, but, you know, if you are 2 years old, you know, the foods that you're going to need are going to be drastically different than what Carson needs. Okay. Sometimes your family, you know, influences you as far as like table manners, how to eat certain foods. You know, some people are okay with you picking things up with your hands, and other people or families would be like, what are you doing? You know, we use forks here, or something like that. There's always the traditional things like holidays, birthdays, special occasions on, you know, what foods would be present at that time. Like my kids, they get to always pick what we eat that day. And then, you know, they don't really like cake. So usually they'll have, you know, maybe a raspberry pie or, you know, something like that besides the traditional cake. You also will adopt likes and dislikes from your family. So I was talking about this with First Hour is when I was growing up, my parents never had Brussels sprouts. And I love Brussels sprouts, but I was never introduced to them until much later in my life, just because my family just never purchased that nor cooked it. And it must have been a bias that my family had, my parents, because they must have grew up, had Brussels sprouts, didn't like them. And so unfortunately, that kind of falls down on the kids because I was never exposed to them. And I had no opinion on whether I liked them or not. So sometimes that plays a part. Or your parents have some type of food in the house and they always eat it, but you can't stand it. So like, for example, that would be beets for me. Have you ever had pickled beets? Oh my God. I like pickles, but not pickled beets. So that would be one thing that I am not going to have my kids eat. But, you know, maybe later in life, they might think, you know, why did my mom never buy pickled beets? I love them, you know, and you may have experienced something like that right now. Anybody have anything similar to my story, but different foods? Anybody out there in the virtual world? Hello? You're going to leave me all alone?
Mackenzie said something in the chat.
Oh, she did. Okay.
I said bologna.
Oh, okay. So you like it or you hate it?
No, I like bologna, but my mom never bought it because she thinks it's disgusting. But it's a good food. It's one of those foods that I don't know, it just hits different, man.
Uh-huh.
I love bologna.
Do you have a food in your family that your parents eat that you hate?
Like asparagus or something like that.
Okay, so that's not one, but they like it and they have it frequently?
Yeah. Oh, and spaghetti. I don't really like spaghetti.
Okay, interesting. My daughter hates it too.
I don't hate it, but like
You're
I'd
just
rather
over it.
go for, like anything. Exactly. Over
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because you've had it so many times that you're now like, oh, I've had it. I'm over it.
Yeah. Anything else.
Yeah, I think sometimes too, they overuse it, and so when you get older, you probably will be like, okay, we'll have spaghetti like once in a great while, but we're not having it once a week or once a couple times a month or something like that. Because my girls are exactly the same.
It's one of those foods you overeat. Like
Yeah,
your mom makes it way too much for absolutely no reason. I don't know.
I think
How's
you should
your
start.
dinner?
I think you should start cooking. That's what I tell my kids. I'm like, if you don't like it, then you have the whole kitchen.
I don't know how to cook. I morally microwave everything I eat.
Oh
So
my gosh. Well, darn it. I wish we were back in school. I could teach you some things.
yeah, I definitely need them.
Oh, yes. And you should try cooking the stuff on the demos. At least you'd have me right there cooking it alongside you.
That's true. I could. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll find a little bit more effort
That would be
eventually.
awesome. And then you could tell me about it. That would be cool. All right. Anybody else have one of those foods that you just
Okay.
hate or one that you're what? Or one food that your parents make too much. Anybody else like Mackenzie? Have a different food?
Yeah, my mom makes pork chops
What
a
is
lot.
it?
I do not like pork chops
Oh,
at
what
all.
was the first thing you said, Chris?
Pork
Pork
chops.
chops. You don't like pork chops?
Pork
Have
chops.
you ever seen the Brady
Still.
Bunch?
Yeah.
This is dating me, but
Yeah, I know
do you
that
know
scene.
pork chops and apple stash?
But I think yeah. I just think that they're always
Oh, okay.
dry.
So you need maybe
It's not just hers, like any pork
is
chop I ever
super
eat
dry.
seems dry.
Have you ever had a pork loin?
Yeah. Yes, that's a
Okay.
different story.
Okay,
I
but
like
you don't
those.
like the bone because it probably dries it out a little bit.
Yeah, just like straight up
Uh-huh.
pork chop.
Okay.
No thanks.
Okay, and then is there what was my other question? So you don't like pork chops, but what is one thing, like let's say you went to a friend's house and they had it, but your parents never make it. Is there a situation like that?
Not really,
No?
actually. Like if I have a request of what I want to eat, I'll just tell it to my parents and they'll eventually get around to it.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Okay, cool. All right, thanks guys for participating. It's always nice to hear from you instead of hearing my own voice all the time. All right, so let's do friends and then we'll work on our demo. All right, so friends, food and friendship go together, which is so true because, your friends and your peers play a major role in determining what, where, and when you eat. So for example, the what, when you guys get together with your friends, sometimes it's pizza, tacos, burgers, fries, milkshakes, soft drinks. The where, sporting events, movies, parties, church gatherings, the shopping mall, all places where people meet friends and enjoy food. The when, you have your after school time, you have at home restaurants, businesses, things like that. So they're always going to be part of that influence on you on the things you like, or maybe your friend's family makes something different than you've ever had before, or maybe you have a friend that's culturally different and so they cook drastically different types of foods, and so you may like going over there, you may not, depending. So your friends or your peers do influence the choices that you make, and sometimes can educate you a little bit on certain foods. Okay, so I'm going to pause the slideshow, and I know that the date is Friday for the notes, and I have written myself a note about changing that. Okay, so if it doesn't get changed, just email me and just say, hey Zebka, you were going to change the date. But hopefully by speaking to you and writing it down, I will go and do that. So probably the notes won't be due until next week at probably Friday, I would think. But you know, basically it's you following along, filling it in as we go, not really rocket science. So it should be a good to go type of thing. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close that out. I do want to talk about the demo because we have some newcomers that have never done a demo before. They have no idea what's going on. So I just want to kind of go over it briefly. All right, so you're looking at this in Google Classroom. It's potato wedges. You're going to fill out the teacher demo page. It's a template. Basically, you fill it out. I do have an example right here of another recipe that I use the demo page for. So you can kind of go back and forth and try to figure out what goes in the blanks if you are clueless or uncertain. I always provide the videos of the demonstration. So it's me, Zebka, hating to be on camera, but nonetheless, it has to be done. And so I did screw up the sugar and salt, and I put that in the chat. So the salt, this is the very first thing that I measure out, and I call it sugar. So it's 3/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. And I can put it in the chat again if need be, if some people came in late and didn't see it was in the chat. It's a 7-minute video. It's really short. And then over here, you have me taking it out of the oven so you can see the finished product. It's not even a minute long, so it doesn't even register with how long it is. Okay. Let's just kind of look at the example really quick so I can go over some pointers so you don't have to get points deducted this time around. So the name of the recipe for this example is cream puffs, but you guys would put potato wedges. For ingredients, I need amounts and ingredients. Usually in any recipe, they're going to list them out. So I would prefer these to be listed. You will get points deducted if you miss an ingredient or if you misrepresent it. Okay, so if you told me that there's a 1/2 cup of water that I used and that's incorrect, I would take points off. Equipment. I usually go over the equipment I'm using right at the get-go. So all you have to do is do a split screen of the video and the demo page and be pausing it at different times when you need to write. Preferably in a list format, please. Directions need to be very specific. I always use Amelia Bedelia as an example. If you ever read those books as a child, you know, she does very literal things. So if it says to fold in eggs, she would take them and fold them in, like literally. So it doesn't need, you know, you want to be very specific when you're writing so that I could take this demo page and I could use it in my kitchen and make whatever it is successfully. But if you forget to tell me to use a bowl to put all my ingredients in, am I supposed to just throw them on the counter and stir them up there? So be very literal when you are writing your recipes because people need to know exactly what you want them to do. So I have bulleted, which is how I would prefer that to be, just listing out the steps. You could use 1, 2, 3. You could use bullets. You know, but try to be very specific on what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and what utensil I use and how I'm putting them into combining them together, all those kinds of things. Don't forget about if I'm baking something, don't forget how long I need to be cooking it for and at what temperature. So if anything is missing, I usually take a couple points away for each thing that you don't put in. Or if it's unclear or uncertain about what you're telling somebody to do, then I'll take points off for that as well. Your additional comments teacher made. So usually I'll have additional comments that I will talk about during the demonstration, and that's what goes here. Just 3 things that I talked about, and that's all you got to do. And then down here, your additional questions. So if you ever see in my comments the letters CS, that means that you have not put something in a complete sentence. Okay, if you don't do that, I take a couple points off. I would like your answers highlighted. It just makes grading so much easier. Otherwise, it just looks like it's all blended together and it's really hard to grade, and I'm sure you'd want me to grade it as accurately as I can. So by highlighting it can pretty much guarantee that. Don't forget your capital and end marks, which will cause a deduction to occur if you do not do that, and you will receive a comment of a CS, which means complete sentence. If I put a question mark, it means that you forgot the questions. You didn't answer any of them, okay? So sometimes people don't scroll down or they forget that they're supposed to do that. And so if I ever put a question mark on the comments, that just means you forgot to do the questions. Okay, So hopefully that makes sense. Use this as a crutch if you need it, as, you know, what am I supposed to do? What goes here? How am I supposed to do it? What's it supposed to look like? That's what this little example is set for. But I always give you time to work on these because I want you to get them done and get them turned in. They are 30 points. Most of my assignments that I do in class, like the notes you're doing right now for a grade, I only mark them as 10 points or 15 or 20. So these demonstrations carry a high point value more so than much of the other assignments that I give. So it's really important that if you skip an assignment, please don't skip these. They're 30 points and that's a lot. Okay. So I am pretending I'm in the classroom right now at school and you're all sitting in your desks, and I just gave you the assignment of doing the demo page, and you will be dismissed when the bell sounds at 10:45. Are there any questions before we get started? Thank you, Vern, for putting that in the chat for me. Against my better judgment, yes, but know that Ms. Sepka will not be putting the assignments in early, FYI. That's to Vern, by the way. You know why. All right, so let me know if you get done early, then you're able to exit, but I need to check to make sure it is in Google Classroom. So I know that it's legitimately that you are done. Chase, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and we can communicate that way if you'd like, or you can unmic yourself and I can talk to you then as well. So just kind of let me know if you needed further instructions. All right, so I'll check back with you in this classroom at 10:40 and hopefully, we'll talk then. Vern, yep, have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday, Tuesday. Everyone else is here until they're done with their demo page. All right, Carson, let me just double check everything is good to go, and then I'll get you out of here. Oh, there it is. All right, Carson, everything looks in order. So we'll see you next time.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks for participating today.
Yep. Bye.
See ya. Zach, give me 1 second. I was looking at somebody else's for a quick second. I will peruse yours here. Love the bullets. You know I do. Will you just go back and highlight your answers to your questions for me? And then you're good to go. Okay, Caitlin, let me just take a quick peek too, just to make sure. Caitlin, you forgot to put potatoes, 3 potatoes in your ingredients.
Okay.
And then everything else looks okay. Yep. Thank you. All right, oh, okay. I went back to look at yours, Zach, and it wasn't there because you're working on it, which is fine. Okay, so Kaylin, you can go as soon as those corrections are made. Zach, same with you. Okay, excellent. I'm going to take your word for it and I'll look at it over the weekend to see how things panned out. So you're good to go. Brianna, let me just take a quick peeky at it. Did you turn it in? Because I'm not seeing it on there. Brianna. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna look at it just really quick just so I can make any corrections that, you could just really quickly fix. Okay, there you are. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, looks in order. Thank you. You're all set. You too, Caitlin. Brianna, do you have a question or did you get kicked out?
Yeah, I do have a question. I
Oh,
tried
yeah.
joining back and then it kicked me out again. But The guided notes, do we turn those in or what do we do with those? Since
Okay,
they're due
just
tomorrow?
yeah, I have to change the deadline on that, and I will do that. So just hold on to them because we won't finish them up till next week.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no worries. Thank you. Okay, Justin, do you need any help? You good to go?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
All right, sounds great.
Have a good weekend.
Yep, you too. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.